And at number 10, Harry and Meghan are related. This should be taken with a slight grain of salt because at some point, if we go back far enough, we're pretty much all related. So as we know, Meghan was born American, and of course Harry is British, but they still share some DNA. The Daily Mail did a genealogical investigation where it was revealed that Harry and Meghan are cousins dating back to the 15th century. The connection is on Markle's father's side, but of course it's 15 generations back, so there are no real connections still intact, and there's zero chance anyone will be related at family gatherings. And at number 9, always wanted to be famous. An old friend of Meghan's came forward after the engagement claiming that Meghan always wanted to be famous, even since childhood. She not only loved being the center of attention from a young age, she was very calculated in who she spent her time with. Nanaki Pretty told the Daily Mail, quote, "All I can say now is I think that Meghan was calculated, very calculated in the way she handled people and relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivates circles of friends." Pretty also claimed that Meghan always wanted to be famous. Royal scholars have pointed out that this trait is a positive for Meghan and Harry's relationship. Apparently most of Harry's other relationships didn't work out because the women he was with did not like all the attention, but clearly this is not an issue for Meghan. Penny Junor, author of Prince Harry, Brother Soldier's Son, told the Express, quote, "One of the advantages of Meghan is because she is in the public eye, she likes that. The real problem with Harry's girlfriends in the past is that they absolutely hated the media attention that scared them off." And at number 8, Meghan cheated with Harry. After Meghan was confirmed to be dating Prince Harry, it came out that there might have been some overlap between her relationship with Harry and with her ex, who was Canadian chef Corey Vitelio. Before she started dating Harry, Meghan was seen out with the chef on multiple occasions. Nobody thought anything about her past relationship until a fan noticed that Vanity Fair changed the date when Harry and Meghan started dating from May to July of 2016, because apparently she was still with the chef in May. Harry and Meghan first met at the Invictus Games in Toronto, and when Harry asked for her number, the Telegraph reported that she was still with her ex. The Daily Mail actually asked the chef about his split with Meghan, and he claimed that he and Meghan had, quote, parted permanently when Harry came on scene. However, he did somewhat hint that the pair might have been together in some capacity while she still was with Harry. And at number 7, all press is good press. We've all heard the famous saying, and it seems that celebrities don't care if they're getting good or bad press, they just want to be talked about. People might not know it's actually a PR strategy to get bad press. Sometimes the negativity helps to sell something, or it can take attention off something else. One example of this was back in 2014 when it was revealed that Kim and Kanye were going to be on the cover of Vogue. At the time, Kim was not a fashion icon, and people were outraged. Some readers even threatened to cancel their Vogue subscriptions, calling Kimye disgraceful and inappropriate for the iconic publication. Anna Wintour ended up going forward with the cover, and it was one of the most talked about issues of all time. We're not sure if it was all for press, but the negativity definitely helped to sell magazines. And at number 6, chose career over marriage. Before Meghan was known for her role on Suits, she was actually married to a producer named Trevor Engelson for 2 years, before they eventually split. The split was apparently caused because of Meghan's work, and a former friend said that Meghan clearly chose her career and work over her husband. The former friend, who served as a maid of honor at Markle's wedding to Engelson, told the Daily Mail, quote, "It was such a shock when she told me they were getting divorced. Apparently the stress of the long-distance relationship is what caused the main issue. Meghan was living in Canada at the time, filming the show Suits while her husband was in LA. Apparently Engelson was heartbroken over the split and did not see it coming."
At number 5, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's personal life was often a hot topic in the media during her life. People were obsessed with what went on behind closed doors, the good and the bad. Though a lot of her personal life was exposed, one thing that remained a secret until her tragic passing was a horrible incident that she had endured when she was younger. After some digging and a published documentary, the world learned that Whitney was once a victim of inappropriate contact. After the singer passed away, her former assistant told the documentary team that Whitney had once confided in her to tell her about what she had endured when she was younger. The assistant told cameras, quote, "Whitney looked at me and said, 'Mary, I was harmed at a young age too, but it wasn't by a man, it was a woman. She had tears in her eyes. She says, Mommy doesn't know the things that we went through,' end quote." Though she never spoke publicly about what happened to her, it is believed that Whitney once hinted at it in an interview when she got really emotional when talking about adults taking advantage of children.
And at number 4, Meghan cut off her friends. After Meghan split from her ex-husband, it was said that she spent a lot of time in London. While there, she apparently formed a friendship with local TV personality Lizzie Cundy after attending an event together. Lizzie disclosed that Meghan wanted her to help finding a new man. Apparently Meghan wanted him to be British and famous. In a 2019 tell-all, Cundy wrote about Meghan, quote, "We were having a girly chat and then she said, 'Do you know any famous guys? I'm single and I really love English men.' So I said, we'll go out and find you someone. Apparently Meghan was interested in soccer player Ashley Cole, but it didn't go anywhere. Then Meghan apparently slid into the DMs of X Factor winner Matt Cardle in 2015, but shortly after that Cardle just stopped replying. But apparently after Harry showed some interest in Meghan, Meghan felt she had no need to stay in touch with Lizzie Cundy anymore and basically ghosted her. Apparently Cundy asked Meghan about Harry, then they chatted for a bit, but never saw each other again. Cundy added, quote, "I was literally ghosted by her." And at number 3, animal cruelty. When making a movie, it's imperative that nobody is hurt during the production. This includes animals, and it's common to read, quote, "No animals were harmed during the making of" while watching a movie. But according to many reports out of Hollywood, that's not always true, and animals are often harmed on movie sets. Some of the worst examples include the near-drowning death of a tiger during the filming of Life of Pi, the hitting of a dog on the set of 8 Below, and the dozens of dead fish and squid that washed up on the shore over 4 days during filming of the Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. The second season of the HBO series Luck was actually cancelled after 4 horses died during the production. Apparently they were overworked because the production wanted the horse racing to look as real as possible. The people on set also ignored warnings from humane animal monitors on the set, making it clear that they didn't care about the animals. Unfortunately, this loss of life had no repercussions. And at number 2, inappropriate requests. On the day of Harry and Meghan's wedding, Meghan wanted everything to be exactly the way she liked it, which is usually what happens for normal weddings. But royal weddings are much different, and most of what happens is passed down for generations and become very strong traditions for the royals. Meghan tried to change a lot of things around for her wedding, which people did not like. One of the most offensive requests was when Meghan asked for air fresheners to be deployed in the chapel where she was to get married. Apparently the smell inside St. George's Chapel was not good enough for her. British insiders stated it does have somewhat of a musty smell, but it is not unpleasant, and it's expected for a building that's been around since 1475. A source said that Meghan wanted the staff to go around with spray guns to make it smell better, but the request was denied. The source said, quote, "Royal household staff stepped in and told her office politely but firmly that this was the Queen's chapel and it simply wasn't appropriate. I don't believe a request of that nature has ever been made before." And finally at number 1, Meghan knew she wouldn't stay royal. The exit of Harry and Meghan from the royal family was devastating news to many. But after further investigation, it seems that Meghan might have known she was not going to be a royal for long. And she might have even concocted this scheme to get the most amount of press possible, then to leave the royal family and go back to Hollywood, where she's always wanted to be. When it was announced that the royals would be leaving, everyone blamed the decision on Meghan, as she was the only change in the family before Harry's formal exit. British columnists said that they think Meghan did not know the difference between being a celebrity and being a royal. Canadian millionaire Kevin O'Leary even slammed Meghan, saying she was the reason that nobody cares about the couple anymore. Quote, "I think Meghan got him into a bad place, and maybe she should do a little soul searching. She knew what she was getting into when she married him." Page 6 also reported that Meghan put some clothes in a storage location in Canada before she got married. She then decided to keep them in Canada, and they were sent to the couple's new Vancouver home after the Megxit announcement. Maybe Meghan left them there because she knew she would be coming back.
At number 10, Rock Hudson. Imagine taking one of the biggest secrets about who you really are to your grave. That's essentially what happened with famed Hollywood actor Rock Hudson. Rock was one of the hottest leading males in Hollywood in his heyday, but he lived with a huge secret for his whole life, and people didn't end up finding out about it until after his passing. When Rock passed away in 1985, it was revealed that he had died from AIDS. He became one of the first and most famous Hollywood celebrities to pass away from the illness. Because the illness was so heavily associated with being gay, speculation began to float around saying that Rock had been hiding his sexuality from the public this whole time. This all turned out to be 100% true, as friends and family of Rock confirmed what the public had been thinking in a biography on the actor. In the book, it was revealed that he had an ex-boyfriend named Lee Garlington, and he was described as Rock's true love. Rock's secret was really only known by his closest friends and family and an inner circle of Hollywood, and a lot of them fought to keep his sexuality a secret in order to preserve his career. I couldn't imagine how tough it would be to have to keep such a big part of who you are a secret from the world. At number 9, David Cassidy. Oftentimes we try our best to be open and honest with our struggles in life, but for some it's hard to share some of the things that you might not be too proud of. This is what caused actor David Cassidy to keep a pretty big secret from the public that wasn't actually revealed until after he passed away. Before he passed away, David shared with the public his struggles with dementia. Fans believed that the actor was suffering from the disease, and so when news broke of his death, people just assumed that it was the dementia that ultimately took him. But it wasn't until the documentary about the actor called David Cassidy, The Last Session, came out, that the public learned the truth about David's health. It turned out that the actor was never actually diagnosed with dementia, and that this wasn't what was harming his health. Instead, it was alcohol poisoning that he was struggling with, and that ultimately took his life. In the documentary, the actor admitted to everything, saying, quote, "There is no sign of me having dementia at this stage in my life. It was complete alcohol poisoning, and the fact is, I lied about my drinking." End quote. One of the documentary's producers spoke out about having known about the actor's struggles before the public, where they said, quote, "We didn't want to exploit him, but ultimately he was honest about what killed him, and we decided that his legacy would be best served if we shared that." End quote. Before we carry on talking about some of the juiciest celebrity secrets, why not take a brief moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, why not subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Gene Wilder. When someone is diagnosed with a serious illness, it becomes a very tough and very personal decision of whether or not to tell people about it. I know people who chose to keep their illness a secret until the end, and this is exactly what actor Gene Wilder did. Gene passed away in 2016, but it wasn't until after he died that the public learned about the secret that he was keeping in regards to his health. It turned out that the actor had been battling Alzheimer's for over 3 years before he passed away. After learning this, a lot of people wanted to know why this news was kept secret from the public, and the reason behind it is so touching. Gene didn't reveal his condition to the public because he wanted people to remember him as he was, and not someone who was sick. He wanted to keep the smiles on the faces of his fans. In a statement released by Gene's family, they elaborated on the situation, saying, quote, "The decision to wait until this time to disclose his condition wasn't vanity, but more so that the countless young children that would smile or call out to him, 'There's Willy Wonka,' would not have to be then exposed to an adult referencing illness or trouble and causing delight to travel to worry, disappointment, or confusion. He simply couldn't bear the idea of one less smile in the world." End quote.
And at number 7, fame changed her. After news broke that Meghan was marrying Harry and would become a princess, many sources came out saying that fame had changed her, and she's all about climbing the social ladder. In December of 2017, news broke that Samantha Markle, who is Meghan's estranged half-sister, was planning a tell-all book about Meghan. In an interview with The Sun, Samantha said, quote, "Hollywood has changed her. I think her ambition is to become a princess." Samantha also complained that Meghan forgot about her after gaining high society status. A source close to the family told E! News that Samantha cannot be trusted. However, Samantha is not the only person who says this about Meghan. Meghan's former best friend, Nikandi Pretty, told the Daily Mail in December of 2017, quote, "There's Meghan before fame and Meghan after fame."
At number 6, Sally Ride. Up next, we have another celebrity who unfortunately didn't get to live their life as open as they should have been able to, as they went to the grave with a huge secret. Astronaut Sally Ride was the first American woman to go to space. She became widely known for her presence in the NASA community, promoting education and interest in space, and specifically devoted much of her life to helping girls excel in STEM. She did a lot for her community, especially women and young girls, but there was another community that she was a part of that no one really knew about until after she passed away. When Sally passed away in 2012, her title grew to not only be the first American woman to go to space, but also the first astronaut to be acknowledged as gay. Sally's sexuality was never public knowledge until her obituary named a woman named Tan O'Shaughnessy as her partner of 27 years.
Halfway number 5, Scientology. Scientology is a mysterious religion that happens to have a ton of A-list celebrity followers. It's been said that the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, used celebrities because he knew that they would attract followers to this new religion. This is also the reason that the Church of Scientology has a huge luxurious building right on Hollywood Boulevard. In the 1950s, L. Ron Hubbard created the quote, Project Celebrity, a written program that offers rewards to Scientologists who bring in some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Today, some of Hollywood's biggest stars follow Scientology, including Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Kirstie Alley. Apparently, these stars are rewarded with butler-esque employees to do anything and everything for them. Former high-ranking members spoke out against this, claiming that they saw Tom Cruise use underpaid Scientology workers for years.
At number 4, George Michael. Imagine being portrayed negatively in the media for basically your whole career just for the narrative to make a 180 after your passing. This is the case with singer George Michael and how his public image changed after he passed away. During his career, George was seen as scandalous, and the media really dug into this while he was alive, but after he passed away in 2016, the truth about who George Michael really was came out, and it was a very different narrative. He took the secret of his philanthropy to his grave, but many people wish that he was around around to be appreciated for giving back to the people. The public came to learn that the singer made many large donations to a wide array of charities like cancer support groups and the Terrence Higgins Trust, which is an HIV awareness group. He kept all of his donations a secret and made sure that no one receiving these donations knew that he was behind it. He was a secret angel giving back to people without receiving any credit, which just shows that this help was genuine, not just for good press.
And at number 3, the staff hate her. It was reported that while Meghan and Harry were living in the royal palace with the other family members, the staff hated Meghan so much that they started to quit. In October of 2018, a palace aide and assistant named Melissa quit because of, quote, Hurricane Meghan. Apparently Melissa was a longtime aide of the family's and a trusted assistant, but that all changed when Meghan came into the picture and annoyed the staff with her requests. Apparently Meghan adopted a lot of West Coast habits like waking up at 5 a.m. and, quote, bombarding aides with texts. One source told the Mirror, quote, Meghan put a lot of demands on her and it ended up with her in tears. Melissa is a total professional and fantastic at her job, but things came to a head and it was easier for them to both go their separate ways. Apparently Meghan's tension with her staff also caused a rift between Meghan and Kate. Kate apparently called out Meghan for her strict and disrespectful behavior towards the staff.
At number 2, Anthony Perkins. Known for his role as Norman Bates in the Hitchcock film Psycho, actor Anthony Perkins lived a pretty quiet and private life, but he also took a very big secret to his grave. When news broke of his passing in 1992, it came as a sudden shock to people. But what the public didn't know at the time was that Anthony had been secretly battling a serious illness that he kept from the public. For 2 years before his passing, the actor had been secretly receiving treatment for AIDS. Speaking out about her husband's treatment, Anthony's wife told sources, quote, he went twice to stay at a hospital and once as an outpatient, and we went under another name. You think that this man has spent his entire life giving people so much pleasure in show business, and this is his reward. He can't even be himself at the end. End quote. Anthony knew that when the public found out about his condition after his passing, there would be a lot of questions as to why he never publicly revealed his condition, and so before he died, he wrote a statement to be read once he passed on. In the statement, the actor wrote, quote, I chose not to go public about having AIDS because, to misquote Casablanca, I'm not much at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of one old actor doesn't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. End quote. And finally, at number 1, Billy Tipton. Billy Tipton was a famous jazz musician who kept a huge secret from everyone. This secret was so hush-hush that not even his closest friends or family knew. Billy had a pretty solid career in the beginning. The 40s and 50s were Billy's time to shine, rising to fame and taking American jazz by storm. Billy's career started to decline, however, after he declined an offer for a recording contract and to open for Liberace. After that, the musician started to fade out of the spotlight. Over the course of his life, Billy was married 5 times, adopted 3 kids, and was considered to be a real family man. But one day, when Billy suddenly collapsed, his secret was revealed. While paramedics were trying to save him, it was discovered that Billy wasn't biologically male. Like I mentioned before, no one knew. Literally no one, so this came as a shock to everyone. It turns out that Billy dressed as a man in order to be allowed into the world of jazz. Because of this huge secret, Billy was forced to live a pretty private life in order to avoid being caught.
And at number 10, Mafia Connections. Back when Hollywood first started, it was rumored that mobster Mickey Cohen ran the Hollywood underworld. Back in 1950, it was apparently a known thing that Cohen ran many organized crime units in LA. And over the years, it's been revealed that a lot of big old Hollywood stars had connections to the mafia. Even singer Wayne Newton had a connection to the mafia, and it almost ended up costing his life. Newton was apparently friendly with Guido Penosi, who was a member of the Gambino crime family, but Newton claimed he had no idea that he had mob ties. Then in 1980, there was a lot of scandal around Newton and the Aladdin Hotel that was co-owned with mafia members. Rumors swirled that Newton was talking to police behind their backs. Then Newton was put on a witness list to testify against the family, which got him a legitimate threat against his life from the mafia. Thank God he was able to survive the ordeal. And at number 9, ageism. Getting older is a fact of life, but in Hollywood they want to avoid it at all costs. And specifically for women, getting older means the end of your career. It's so bad that actors even try to hide their ages, so they can play younger roles. Actress Junie Ho Wang sued the website Internet Movie Database for revealing her true age to fans. Actress Jessica Lange has defied this ageism and has success in her 60s, but she admits it was more difficult as she got older. She said in one interview, quote, ageism is pervasive in this industry industry. It's not a level playing field. You don't often see women in their 60s playing romantic leads, yet you will see men in their 60s playing romantic leads with co-stars who are decades younger. In at number 8, fake fans. In the age of social media, followers are everything, and having tons of followers can mean the difference between getting the part or not. But sadly, a lot of these followers are not real, and it's been exposed that millions of social media followers are fake and are purchased to make it seem like the star is more popular. Some of the world's most popular celebrities are a part of this. Some of the worst offenders are Ariana Grande with 46% fake, Taylor Swift with also 46% fake, and Miley Cyrus with 45% fake. It's worth noting that the celebrity is not always responsible for the fake followers, but they usually are.
At number 7, Corey Haim. Unfortunately, as much as there's glitz and glam in Hollywood, there's also a dark side, one of those dark sides being harming and manipulating others. This is sadly something that actor Corey Haim experienced as a child actor in Hollywood. Both he and his best friend Corey Feldman experienced the dark side of Hollywood, and though Feldman has been pretty outspoken about what he endured, Haim on the other hand kept that top secret. The one thing that he kept absolutely hidden was the identity of the person who seriously harmed him. Haim went to the grave knowing the identity of the person who harmed him, but this secret isn't completely lost, as it's alleged that Corey Feldman actually knows who did it. Feldman tried in the past to get his friend to expose the person who caused him so much pain, but Haim refused because he was so scared that this individual would try and hurt them again. Haim made Corey promise that he would share the story of what happened to them if he died, and Corey did share some details, but again, the identity of the person who hurt Corey Haim remains a secret.
And at number 6, body issues. Looking perfect is something that all celebrities struggle with, but having the perfect figure is sadly something that the industry forces you to have to be successful. Many celebrities have come forward to share their stories of disordered eating, which was caused by Hollywood bigwigs saying that they weighed too much. Even agents and managers have told a star that they need to lose weight in order to be cast. Former child actor Raven-Symoné admitted on The View that she was told at age 7, while starring on The Cosby Show, that she couldn't eat certain things because she was getting too big. This experience caused her to have a lifelong struggle with food. Demi Lovato has also been open about their eating issues. Demi remembered that when they were only 3 years old, they hoped that their stomach was flat. People are now fighting back against these standards and advocating for more body positivity in Hollywood, but it's a long road ahead. Halfway at number 5, does not treat animals well. Meghan Markle likes to be known for her humanitarian and social efforts. One thing that Meghan is very proud of is that she adopted 2 dogs from a rescue shelter. But it seems that it was not happily ever after for the 2 puppies. After Meghan became a princess and was set to move to Kensington Palace in 2017, a spokesperson confirmed that Markle's retriever, Bogart, would not join her overseas. Apparently Meghan felt that it was inhumane for the dog to take the long trip, along with the difficult approval process for dogs coming into the country, and Meghan left the dog with one of her friends in LA. Then later in December, Daily Mail reported that her other dog, Guy, broke both of his legs. We're not sure what the circumstances were, but apparently Meghan was quote distraught over the accident. And at number 4, gender pay gap. Yet another example of Hollywood being harmful to women is the gender pay gap between men and women in movies. And unfortunately, this still exists to this day. This issue came to the forefront in 2013 when the movie American Hustle was released. The movie showcases huge movie stars, but unfortunately it was exposed that the female actors received less than their male counterparts. An email hack revealed that Jennifer Lawrence and Amy Adams received 2 points less on the revenue sharing agreement than their male co-stars Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale, despite the fact that both actresses are A-list actors. Around the same time, Meryl Streep, the actor with the most Oscars ever, came forward to say that even she was paid less than her male co-stars. House of Cards actress Robin Wright also said that she needed to be paid as much as Kevin Spacey, or she would go public against Netflix.
At number 3, Prince. Another celebrity who was something of a secret angel of sorts was Prince. After he passed away in 2016, secrets about the singer started to come out, some of those secrets being about his philanthropy. One person, an environmentalist who worked for the Green Jobs Act, came forward to talk about one of the donations that they had once received anonymously from Prince, where they said that they received a check for $50,000. At first, they sent the check back because it was so out of the blue and they didn't really trust it, but to their surprise the check came back again, this time with a phone call. The environmentalist then went on to say that the person on the phone said, quote, "I cannot tell you who the money is coming from, but his favorite color is purple," end quote. On top of this anonymous donation, Prince also co-founded an educational effort to help teach minority youths technology called #YesWeCode, and he also made a donation to the family of Trayvon Martin. Speaking out about Prince's philanthropy, Cruelty, his ex-wife said that he never wanted to make these donations public so as to not overshadow the charity or the case.
In at number 2, Hollywood fixers. It's long been rumored that bigwigs in Hollywood will hire fixers to do the dirty work for them. These are basically tough guys that will swoop in and do the dirty work that these powerful people can't get caught doing themselves. This idea was brought up again because of the series Ray Donovan. Back in the days of old Hollywood, where stars would sign their lives away to movie studios, it was common to have these fixers to deal with personal issues. It was rumored that these men would cover up pregnancies of their young stars, along with making accusations against powerful men go away. And these practices still happen today. A fixer named Anthony Pellicano was arrested after it was discovered that he sent threatening notes to celebrities along with a dead fish. Pellicano was allegedly employed by stars such as Michael Jackson, Chris Rock, Kevin Costner, and Steven Spielberg. And finally at number 1, the Illuminati. The Illuminati might be the most elusive group in Hollywood. Nobody is quite sure who they are, but everyone is pretty sure that some of the top celebrities in the world are a part of it. Most notably Beyonce, Jay-Z, Tom Hanks, and Lady Gaga. The subject of the Illuminati was brought to light again recently after David Dobrik did a podcast interview where he spoke about his experience with the Illuminati in Hollywood. He told the story to Zayn and Heath on their podcast, where David revealed that a girl that he knew was approached by the Illuminati, and she was told she needed to sacrifice someone to them if she wanted to get famous. Apparently this girl called her mother, who was okay to be the one sacrificed, but the girl did not end up going through with it. Months later, David and this girl were at a Hollywood party with old Hollywood A-listers, and when the topic of the Illuminati came up, the girl told the group about how she was approached, and one of the A-listers told her not to get involved with them because the Illuminati ruined his best friend's life. Apparently this A-lister's supposed best friend was Michael Jackson.
At number 10, Vanessa Hudgens. As we are all aware, Disney likes to keep their stars as clean as possible, so when they're caught being a little more adult and risque, that's definitely a problem for the company. This became Vanessa Hudgens' reality in 2007 after some of her private photos got leaked. Vanessa opened up about the scandal years later, saying that this was traumatic for her, having lost her privacy in that moment. It was also a big deal for Disney, who was trying to cover the story up and keep her image intact. Since she was one of the faces of the High School Musical franchise, it was important to the company to make this all go away. Joe Jonas even opened up about this time in Vanessa's life, saying that while he and his brothers were working for Disney at this time, he remembers the day that the scandal broke and how the executives had Vanessa in their office for the whole day trying to deal with that mess. Joe even said that the other executives approached him and his brothers and praised them for not having a scandal like this. This put a lot of pressure on the Jonas brothers to always stay perfect in the eyes of the company, so just knowing how much pressure they had on themselves after that, it must have been so much worse for Vanessa. She apologized to her young fans for the pictures and expressed remorse, and luckily for her, Disney was able to salvage her career after that. At number 9, Jake Paul. Once upon a time in 2017, Jake Paul was a Disney star. I know, shocking. He was one of the stars of the Disney Channel show Bizarre Park, and though the show was a success for both Disney and Jake, too much bad press ended with Jake losing his job. Around this time, Jake was often in the news being slammed for his stunts and tomfoolery because of his Team 10 mates and the disturbances that he had been causing. From lighting backyards on fire to noise complaints, Jake's neighbors had police issuing warnings and fines for all sorts of things, and whenever Jake would get in trouble, the media reported it, and it all got back to Disney. They had apparently been monitoring the situation, but things kept getting out of hand online with Jake's YouTube channel, as he was seen doing things that weren't necessarily brand friendly. Ultimately, Jake and the executives at Disney came to the decision to take Jake out of the equation, and they ended up letting him go in the end. It was a number of scandals that really did Jake in, but it was still serious enough for him to get fired. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, why not consider leaving a like to show your support? At number 8, Mitchell Musso. Hannah Montana star Mitchell Musso was having a lot of success at Disney. He had been a series regular on the hit show and even branched off to work on Phineas and Ferb and Pair of Kings, but as we all know, when you get in trouble, you get the axe from the mouse. In 2011, Mitchell Musso was arrested and charged with DUI after failing to stop for an officer directing traffic. He pleaded no contest to the charge, and he was sentenced to 36-month probation, was forced to complete alcohol education classes, and was forced to pay a fine as well. After being charged, Disney made steps toward distancing themselves from Musso. He was taken off the show Pair of Kings, and his prank show was cancelled, and his career was essentially ruined because of it. He had a good run with Disney, but bad press just was too much to cover up, and it blew up in their faces.
In spot number 7 is Ashley Tisdale. Speaking of co-star rivalry, I bet you thought everything was peaches and creams on the High School Musical cast. Two characters who seem to be inseparable were the Evans twins, Ryan and Sharpay Evans. Their sibling duo is iconic in the Disney world, but Ashley let us know that her time on Disney wasn't always what it seemed to be. Apparently, she and Lucas Grabeel, who played her brother Ryan, got off on the wrong foot during the audition process and hated each other because of it. Years down the road, they made a YouTube video together where they did a cover to one of their High School Musical songs, but they spoke about their off-screen drama first. She said, "We were not close, we were not good friends, let's just be honest. It's been 10 years, we can totally talk about this now. We hated each other, like, I'm not kidding." Lucas explained where the animosity came from and said that during their audition, she gave him unsolicited notes which she did not ask for, and it rubbed him the wrong way. Basically, it was just a very Sharpay thing to do. Luckily, now that their time on Disney is well over, they are able to be friends.
And at number 6, Dog with a Blog. I'm not sure how many of you may be familiar with the show Dog with a Blog, but for those who may be unfamiliar with the show, the title says it all. It was a Disney Channel show about a family dog who wrote a blog. But what the title didn't say is how much it took to get that show off the ground and the scandal that broke around it. Even though I wouldn't say this show was top tier, because from the few episodes that I've seen, it really isn't. There is a scandal around this show that is frankly bigger and more dramatic than the show could ever be. Apparently, there was a scandal surrounding the dog who actually starred in the show. When the role was first cast, the part went to a performing dog named Kuma. Kuma was in all of the promotional material, the photos, and the first 5 episodes of the show. He was the best fit for the role because of his experience, but all of a sudden, he was fired. No, he didn't bite anyone, and he didn't have any accident on set. It was because of the drama with his owner over fears that Kuma was being overworked. Kuma's owner said that he'd been overworked on set, having to be on for 12 to 14 hours a day. The stress of working affected Kuma so much that he suffered a seizure on the 3rd day of filming. The owner also said that they were being underpaid for their work, and so she told execs that she would need to pull Kuma from the show for his safety, or at least until there were new guidelines in place for his protection. Instead, the company that hired Kuma sent them a termination letter, and Kuma was replaced. Disney didn't want to adjust things for their animals' safety, and so they just got rid of him and replaced him with another performer who wouldn't complain.
Halfway through our countdown, at number 5 is Ross Lynch. You would know him if you watched the Disney show Austin and Ally, where he took on one of the title characters, Austin. Being in the Disney spotlight throughout his teens, he revealed it was very difficult because people expect you to be the character that they see on TV. He admitted that he got lonely often and said that it was hard for people around him to accept the fact that he wasn't actually his character Austin. He said, "People start to think that because you come from Disney that you're a certain way. You're perceived to be such an angel, and really you're just an actor that booked a job." Ross also said that people on the Disney team would also make it seem like they found him and raised him, but to him it was always just a job and he had a regular life outside of it. Or tried to, at least.
At number 4, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato was quickly becoming another big Disney star after the success of Camp Rock and Sunny with a Chance, but in 2010 there came a scandal that was seemingly the beginning of the end for her Disney career. News broke of an incident between Demi and one of her dancers that changed her image and saw execs scrambling to bury this story. The incident happened while Demi was on tour with the Jonas Brothers, and as Demi was boarding their flight, she was aggravated after having gotten in trouble with her manager for her behavior the night before. Demi assumed that one of her dancers had tattletailed on her, and so she found one of the dancers that she held responsible and had a brief altercation with her. Demi went to her seat and left everyone else on the flight in shock. Demi left the dancer with a black eye, but she was about to face much worse as news broke of this outburst. Demi ended up leaving the tour to recover from emotional and physical distress, but not too long afterwards, Disney was done with the star, leaving Camp Rock and Sunny with a Chance up in the air.
Taking over our 3rd spot is Zendaya. This Disney star continued to work on Disney even after taking on one of the lead roles in their TV series Shake It Up. She starred alongside Bella Thorne, and even after it ended, she continued to book some other roles on Disney, like her show Casey Undercover. But her experience with Disney wasn't always easy, and even though she has had some positive things to say about the network, she also said her time on Shake It Up was very difficult at times. She admitted to J14 that during her time filming, she was forced to compete against her co-star Bella Thorne, who was also her close friend. She said, "We were kind of forced to compete against each other. It made the whole first season of the show just very awkward for us." Since then, though, they have become good friends, but Zendaya admits it was never easy feeling like you're being pinned against your co-star, let alone someone who is also your good friend. That would freaking suck.
At number 2, Bella Thorne. Looking at Bella Thorne now, you see her as someone who is often in the news for something negative. Recently, she's been criticized for her diss of her ex-girlfriend Tana Mojo in her newest song, and last summer she also faced backlash for her OnlyFans scam. But in the past, back in her Disney days, things were different. She was sheltered and marketed as an innocent kid with a lot of talent. As she grew up, Bella told sources about how Disney made her conform to their standards, even though all she wanted to do was branch out and be herself. One of her attempts of being herself caused a scandal after Bella was photographed wearing a specific bathing suit when she was a teenager that wasn't deemed brand friendly by Disney. According to Bella, this scandal nearly cost her her job and her family's livelihood, and she said that any other scandals after that would have caused her to get fired. She was forced to be someone else for the duration of her time at Disney, and that scandal is a reminder of how seriously they take their stars' public image. And finally, at number 1, Adrienne Bailon. The Cheetah Girls films were another set of hit films from the Disney Channel, and obviously the film stars had to conform with the harsh standards that all other Disney stars had to. After making 3 films with the company, one of the film stars, Adrienne Bailon, was looking to branch out from Disney and step into roles that were more suited for her age. Because she was in her 20s, she wanted to step away from these films, and to do so, she came up with a scheme that would no doubt end her contract. Adrienne ended up leaking her own private photos, causing a stir online and in the media. This bad press was obviously not good for Disney, and so they were forced to let her go. The media picked the scandal apart because of how wild it was, since it started off as a mere leak and turned into a scandal after it was discovered that Adrienne was behind it all. And so after all was said and done, the Cheetah Girls were no more, Adrienne was out. But hey, at least she got what she wanted, right? Silver linings.
Starting us off at number 10 is Zac Efron. Fans were not happy when he did not show up to the High School Musical reunion, and many people wondered why. It appeared that we were not all in this together after all, because he was the only one who did not show up. He says he was filming Dirty Grandpa at the time and couldn't make it, but some of his comments have made fans believe differently. Zac admitted he can't celebrate High School Musical because it's not real. He said, "You can't enjoy or celebrate it. It's not a real thing. The face on the lunchbox and you can't share that with your friends." He revealed a lot about his experience with the movie throughout the years, and also revealed they removed his recorded voice tracks from the final cut of the movie without even telling him. They replaced his voice with another singer, Drew Seeley, but Zac fought for his voice to be left in the sequel. He said he had to put his foot down and fight to get his real voice in the movies, which is actually really awkward if you ask me. Like, what an awkward position to be in as a teen when you were hired for that role, which required singing. Up next, number 9 is Nick Jonas. He is another Disney OG who has had some things to say about his years spent working with Disney. He has said some positive things, admitting that he has good memories and that it felt like he was going to summer camp sometimes. But with that, he also said there was a lot of drama because people started dating, and then throughout the years they would just go and date other people on Disney, so it got very messy. But that is kind of expected. He also said that Disney makes you put on a persona and that creative control is taken away. He said the network has its faults, and also said, I quote, "Disney doesn't create role models, it creates characters." Which is a pretty bold statement because a lot of his fans idolize him for his characters on the TV shows and movies, but that is not really him. So their characters might be role models, but that's why fans get so shocked when like the star themselves does something that is so out of character compared to like what their personal life is about. Like Miley Cyrus. Although I think she went a little above and beyond. Swiping the number 8 spot is Christina Aguilera. Yes, she was on Disney. How can we ever forget that she was one of the members of the Mickey Mouse Club alongside Britney Spears? But she was also one of the first people on Disney to let us know that there could be some drama with your co-stars because you're actually pitted against them oftentimes. Their feud has been the topic of conversation for years, and turns out they were kind of in competition with each other throughout their career, but it all started when they were on Disney. As they started getting older and breaking into their own individual careers, the world seemed to have a problem with Christina and often compared her to Britney. She told Cosmo, "I remember being hurt by these commercials on MTV, pitting Britney as the good girl and me as the bad girl. It's like, if I'm going to be demure and innocent, that's okay, but if I'm going to just be myself, I'm trouble." trouble. It's difficult breaking out of that Disney persona for one thing, but doing that while you're being compared to your former co-star is even worse.
At number 7, Miley Cyrus. In 2008, Disney was hit with a huge scandal that nearly ruined one of their biggest shows at the time. Hannah Montana was a hit and nothing seemed to be derailing the show's success, at least until a photo shoot with Vanity Fair became a serious issue for executives. Miley Cyrus posed on the cover of Vanity Fair in a way that was deemed inappropriate by Disney standards, since the star was seen posing wearing nothing but a bed sheet covering her chest and having an exposed back. Though nothing was really shown, and the then 15-year-old Miley said that she loved the shoot and thought it was very creative, the Disney exec had a meltdown because it wasn't the image that they wanted for her and that it could have ruined Hannah Montana. When the photo was published, parents got concerned because Hannah Montana seemed to be a role model for a lot of kids, and parents didn't want these photos influencing their children. Disney actually accused Vanity Fair of deliberately manipulating Miley and trying to sabotage Disney. The president of Disney Channel Worldwide even saw this as such a huge issue that when speaking about Miley's public image, he said, quote, "For Miley Cyrus to be a good girl is now a business decision for her. Parents have invested in her godliness. If she violates that trust, she won't get it back," end quote. Disney was so invested in her image that it hurt Miley in the long run, as she said over the years.
Up next, number 6 is Vanessa Hudgens. She's always been one to say that her Disney experience on High School Musical has always been a love-hate relationship. Dating her co-star Zac Efron was difficult because all the girl fans were always all over him, and she admitted to getting jealous and insecure about it. Outside of her relationship though, she revealed it was difficult for her to break away from her role as Gabriella when trying to book work outside of Disney. She said she had to put in some serious effort to break the typecast and shed that Disney star stigma. During an interview, she said that Disney, I quote, "closed people's minds up as to which characters I could portray." Luckily, she was able to make it happen, and she's starred in a handful of movies since then, and even Broadway shows, so she did something right.
At number 5, Jake T. Austin. Jake T. Austin was still in Disney's good books up until 2013 when he got in some legal trouble. The former star of Wizards of Waverly Place had just moved over to one of Disney's other networks, Freeform, starring in the show The Fosters. Even though he was moving on to more mature roles, it was still recommended that he stay out of bad press. Clearly, he didn't do that because he's on this list. In 2013, Jake started having some trouble with the law as he was caught driving under the influence on a few occasions. In one incident, he crashed his car into a parked car while under the influence, and another instance saw him get involved in a hit-and-run car crash. Though there were no injuries, Jake still faced bad press for his trouble with the law and being in possession of alcohol.
Coming in hot at number 4 is Brenda Song. Most people who think of Brenda Song immediately think of her iconic Disney character, London Tipton, from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. It's hard to forget a character like that, in my opinion, but that was the problem for her, the typecast once you tried to break away from Disney. When asked if she regrets her time on Disney, she has always said no, but admitted that it was difficult growing up on TV and Disney at that. Similar to Vanessa Hudgens, when auditioning for other work outside of Disney, casting directors had a very hard time not seeing her as London Tipton. She struggled with being able to book roles, and roles that she did book had very similar character traits to her character from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm personally guilty of this because I cannot picture her as anyone else but London Tipton. And when I see her in other movies, I'm like, it's just weird. It's not London Tipton.
At number 3, Hilary Duff. It was a feud to end all Disney feuds. There's nothing worse than two teen girls fighting over a boy because you know how messy that can get. This is what happened between Hilary Duff and Lindsay Lohan during their years-long feud over Aaron Carter. Their feud first started in 2001 when Aaron Carter was on the set of Lizzie McGuire. The two met and hit it off, and they started dating for a bit. Little did Hilary know for a while, but Aaron was also dating Lindsay Lohan at the same time. They both had a relationship with Aaron for a little over a year, and after they both ended things with him, they both could have just gone their separate ways, but oh no, of course not. Instead, they had a public feud which consisted of both girls crashing each other's film premieres and talking about each other in the media. They antagonized each other for years before deciding that they're too old for their squabbles. Though this wasn't a huge controversial scandal, it was still a big thing for a while to see two Disney darlings at each other's throats like that. They were low-key shady, and all because of a boy. I mean, he cheated on you with each other. definitely not someone worth fighting over.
Rolling into number 2 is Kelly Berglund. She starred on Disney's show Lab Rats and admits that being on the Disney Channel is an opportunity of a lifetime, but that it does come with its struggles. She talked to LaPaw magazine and admitted that you sort of know what you're signing up for when you step into the Disney world, but that it doesn't make it any easier. She tried to warn other young stars about how hard it is to grow up in that Disney spotlight. She admitted that having your awkward teen years happen in front of the world can be a struggle. She said, being a teenager and growing up can already be tough enough as it is. Try having your awkward years put in front of a spotlight for the whole world to see. On top of that, she said she always felt like she was trying to meet other people's expectations, and it made it hard for her to find who she really was at that time. I can't imagine having to live my awkward years in front of the world, because they were bad. Very bad. Winning the number 1 spot is Ali and AJ. Fans were pumped recently when they released an uncensored version of their song Potential Breakup Song, which actually came out back in 2007. Their music career took off while they were under Disney Channel's music label, Hollywood Records, but then they took a massive break from music altogether and then later revealed why. Apparently it was their time under Disney that made them ultimately decide to walk away from their music. During an interview with Playboy magazine, AJ said, "We just lost love a little bit, you know? We had experienced so much as kids, and I kind of feel like we learned a lot about the industry that put a little bit of bad taste in our mouth. Whether it was a couple of people who we worked with, or whether it was just trying to find the right inspiration, or what have you." Fans were not satisfied with her short explanation, and to this day, people still wonder what exactly happened that made them up and leave so abruptly, it seemed. I'm thinking it was some of the people she worked with, but that's just me.
At number 4, Peggy Lee. Before I get into the current drama that's going on now with Disney, I'd first like to tell you about one actress who first sued Disney because of their contract. It seems as though Disney is already familiar with their stars suing because of their contract, because back in 1987, actress Peggy Lee was blindsided by the media company's release of the film Lady and the Tramp, and a lawsuit ensued. Peggy was one of the people behind the making of the 1955 film. Peggy voiced the character Peg, as well as the Siamese cats Cy and Am. Very creative. On top of that, Peggy also sang and co-wrote a handful of songs in the film, like He's a Tramp and Bella Notte. Peggy also contributed to the storyline of the film, making an effort to keep the film family-friendly and to avoid anything too triggering for younger audiences. Needless to say, Peggy contributed a lot to the film, and for all of her hard work, she was paid $4,500. Lady and the Tramp went on to become Disney's best-selling film, dethroning the other Disney classic Snow White, which had held the title for so many years, and because it was such a success in its heyday, Disney decided to do a wide release of the film on VHS in the late 80s, and this brought the company $90 million in profit. Now this was great news for Disney because they had made so much money, but it was bad news for Peggy because she didn't get any of that. Apparently, Disney was reluctant to share their profits with Peggy, and they only offered her a small fee, so she took matters to court. After taking a look at Peggy's contract, it was found that Disney technically did not have the right to sell copies of Peggy's work, and therefore they were in violation of their contractual agreement with the actress. After a 2-week court battle, it was determined that Peggy deserved a bigger cut from the VHS sales, and so she was awarded $2.3 million. This case is pretty similar to what's going on between Scarlett Johansson and Disney, so it will be interesting to see how things play out here, and maybe history will repeat itself and Disney will have to shell out a hefty amount of money. At number 3, Emma Stone. Now, although this has yet to be confirmed, sources say that actress Emma Stone could be the next one to seek legal action against Disney. Emma was under contract for Disney after starring in the movie Cruella, which was released in May of this year. This film's release is really what's causing the problem with Emma, because much like Scarlett Johansson and the Black Widow movie, the theatrical release and premiere access on Disney Plus were on the same day, meaning that audiences were able to choose between going to the theater to watch the movie or stay at home and stream it from the company's platform. As part of her contract, Emma was given royalties from the film's theatrical release, which means that she wasn't given a portion of the money from the streaming platform and therefore was cheated out of a pretty good sum of money. Now, after seeing Scarlett take on Disney in court, there are reports that Emma might be inclined to join in on that lawsuit to fight for wages lost due to this loophole in the contract. Do you guys think that Emma should join in on the fight? Some people have said that she made enough money and doesn't need to fight for more, but others say that it's less about the money and more so about the principle to show that these companies can't do these kinds of things to their contractors. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. At number 2, Emily Blunt. Another star who is reportedly considering taking legal action against against Disney is Emily Blunt. Emily's film Jungle Cruise was recently released, and just like Emma Stone and Scarlett Johansson, her film was released in theaters and on the Disney Plus platform at the same time, causing the same problem that the other two actresses are currently facing. The problem that a lot of people have pointed out with the film being released in both theaters and on Disney Plus is that those who choose to watch it from home on the streaming platform are able to pay a premiere access fee and then watch it as many times as they want, whereas in theaters you just pay for your ticket and you only get to see it once. The potential to make more money is there, but Disney hasn't taken it, which is why Emily Blunt is watching her movie's sales more closely with this release, waiting to make her decision on whether or not she will be suing Disney. Emily has already gone through something similar, as she and her husband John Krasinski had already gotten into a debate with Paramount Plus over the release of their film A Quiet Place 2. It is said that because of the pushback that came with the release of their film due to the pandemic, Emily is very much against this hybrid style of film release, and so we shouldn't really be surprised to see a lawsuit come from Emily as well. She and John were already able to push for a 45-day gap between the theatrical release of A Quiet Place 2 and the Paramount Plus release, so who knows what Emily might fight for this time with Disney. And finally, and number one, Scarlett Johansson. Now finally, let's talk about Scarlett Johansson and the drama that started all of this in the first place. Following the release of Black Widow both in theaters and on Disney Plus, Scarlett and her legal team issued a lawsuit against Disney alleging that they breached her contract because they went through with doing a hybrid release of the newest Marvel film. In her lawsuit, the actress alleged that Disney guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release of the film, saying that her salary was to be largely based on box office earnings. In response to the lawsuit, a spokesperson for Disney released a statement saying that the actress's lawsuit had no merit and called the legal action being brought forward, quote, especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, end quote. They also went on to say, quote, Disney has fully complied with Ms. Johansson's contract, and furthermore, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus with premiere access and has significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she has received to date. At the end of the day, it's not really about the money, but it's the fact that they breached Scarlett's contract. They promised an exclusive theatrical release and then went back on that, and I feel as though this lawsuit is just to turn this action into a lesson for Hollywood. When the film was released on July 9th, it brought in $80 million at the box office and $60 million on Disney Plus, but even though that's a lot of money, it's still the lowest grossing Marvel film to date. It could be because of the pandemic, or maybe the hybrid release affected the film's earnings, but I'm sure that at the end of this, the real analytics will be brought forward as Scarlett takes on this huge company in the lawsuit of the year. Now, I want to hear your thoughts on this whole lawsuit thing going on with Scarlett Johansson. Whose side are you on? Do you agree with Disney or Scarlett? And who do you think will end up winning in the end? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.